Hi everyone, welcome to the Founder Series, where I speak with previous clients that I've worked with on their branding and website design. And I thought it'd be really interesting for you to hear their stories from whether they were working in a 9 to 5 and starting a new business, or they had a previous business and they're now pivoting into something new. And whenever I've worked with clients, a lot of the times they don't know where to start, where to, all the different moving pieces. And I thought it'd be interesting to get a hot take, real take from previous clients, and then also to hear where they're at now. And today's Meet the Founder is with Joyce Levitt, who is wonderful and I worked with over a year ago now. And she is a life coach. And yeah, welcome, Joyce. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Liz. I'm absolutely honored to be here. Thank you.
Yay! So, for me, I part of this series as well is that I will be showing you the branding and web design process, which takes you from in a separate video, but that will go with this chat, and it takes you from the questionnaire that I ask and get my clients to do a Pinterest board, so visually I can see what they like. And Joyce, your Pinterest board was one of my funnest, most kind of wacky Pinterest board, which was really amusing to me because a lot of the times clients will, it's quite literal, like the style that they want, whereas yours was all about personality and fun. You know, there was a girl on there hula hooping. Um, so like I really enjoyed it for the energy that I knew you wanted to bring to your website. So, speaking of energy, if we just talk a little bit about your previous business and the sort of energy that you brought to that, because it's quite an interesting story from where you began. So if you can tell us a little bit about that, please.
Okay, well, not to belabor the point, but I started in dentistry when I was 16 and then worked my way through the ranks from dental assistant, dental receptionist, dental hygienist, teacher of dental assisting, and finally thought, you know what? I think I want to sit in the big chair. So I went back to uni. Um, as a mature student and qualified as a dentist at the University of Toronto and graduated and promptly moved to Scotland, where I had to redo everything again.
How old were you when you went back to university?
30.
30. Okay. And
Yeah.
when you graduated, how old were you?
34.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So you're from Canada, right? So you moved
Yes, I
from
am.
Canada to Scotland, and so you had to retrain and get your license and everything there as well.
Well, I had to write a whole bunch of exams
Yeah.
because there's a completely different qualification system for
Okay.
someone moving countries. And they were really tricky and really involved and involved a lot of traveling to different places. And yeah, it was hard, really hard.
But you've done hard things. So like you've had this, you were a dental assistant and then became a dentist. You built a practice before you'd left to Scotland in Canada. Um,
No,
where
no,
was where was it that you built the practice?
I built the practice in Canada, but I moved to Scotland after I graduated, requalified so I could work in Scotland as a dentist. And then after I'd been here for about 10 years, then we moved back to Canada. And that's when I opened my own practice there.
And how long were you in Canada for?
The second time we were there for 15 years.
And now you're back in Scotland.
Yes.
Okay, so there's like, so I think as well when I work with coaches as well, there's like they've always got a life, and it's I think that your speciality is about change and transition and moving, and so that's like part of your story and why you help people with that. So what I thought was interesting when we were chatting, so in the process when I work with any client, I get to know you and we have like a brand strategy session. And you like really smashed it when you built your practice, right? So you built it into a 7-figure business and you were like hot on marketing. Like, how did you, was that quite instinctive, all of the marketing that you did? Because you'd never had a business before, I'm assuming,
No, never had a
you know?
business before.
Yeah.
No. Instinctive and necessary. So to be successful, you've got to market. And I was in a new town in Ontario. It was, a new community, but there were a few dentists there, quite a few dentists there. So I had to get myself out there and I felt like I had to make myself distinctive from everyone else. And so I had to put on a marketing hat.
And like
And
some of the things you told me that you did, was it like buses or
yeah.
park benches and stuff like that? Like people weren't doing that back then, right?
No, no one was doing that. So I put my face on a bus. And as my husband, who is Scottish, would say, put your pus on a bus, right? But he said, don't put your pus on the back of a bus. So I went on the side and it was hugely successful. And the people who did the marketing were like, we've not had this done before, but it was great because it moved all over the town.
Yeah.
So it was fabulous and it was
Yeah.
super successful.
Yeah. And I remember when we started chatting, and we'll come to this a bit later on, you were very confident about like, and often don't have this with some of my clients that have been in corporate when they are becoming starting a business and it's a service-based business. They're often not as, like, I'm going to get out there. I know how to market my business. I know how to get clients. They've maybe got an inner network, especially if they've come from corporate on LinkedIn, and they can like, you know, go to old contacts and stuff like that. Whereas you, it was all new, but you'd done something very successful.
Mhm.
When but what you were struggling with was the branding and the website design, because it was all to do with you rather than the dentistry. It was more like a practice, so it wasn't as personal and as tricky. What did you struggle with when you were just starting to think about getting a brand and a website together?
Yeah, so building a dental practice is different, right? I mean, it's about me, but it's about the practice, the location, who I'm serving, what I do, those kinds of things. Whereas this is me. I am it, right? I don't have a building, I don't have a place, I don't have any of that stuff. It's quite different. I thought it was quite different. And the only thing I felt certain about was I need a website. I thought it was my job to drive people to the website, and then the website could do its bit. But I really felt like I needed a touch point for people to give me some credibility, to show my professionalism, all of that. So that's why I came to you. But
Yeah.
also because you sold yourself differently. You said you were intuitive, an intuitive website builder. And I was when you first said, I was like, what the heck is that? Right? But
Yeah.
it got my interest.
Yeah.
And then as you started to talk, I thought, this is the woman for me.
So like, so I know that you found me because I gave a masterclass on somewhere that you took your certification to become a coach.
Yes.
So, for anybody out there, before you'd seen me, had you an inkling about what you were going to do about a website, or was I the first port of call that you'd heard about, or had you thought about going on a different platform, or how to find somebody going on Google or anything like that for somebody that maybe hasn't come across a designer that they click with? But obviously, if they're watching this video, they've seen me now. But what was there anything that you did before seeing me?
Yeah, I contacted the person that did my website for the dental practice,
Yeah.
and he was no longer in business. So that was a no. And then I thought, right, I'll just build my own then. And I started, it was like, I'm not doing this. This is not going to turn out the way I want. I did have a view. I had a vision as to how I wanted it to be. I wanted the feel of I wanted. And I thought, I can't create that myself. And so then I started to look around and I wasn't seeing anything. But I hadn't completely finished my diploma in life coaching, so I wasn't sort of at desperate needs. But then when you came on with the masterclass, I thought, see, as soon as I graduate, that's the woman I'm going to contact.
Okay, amazing. Now, when we work together, like part of my process is that brand strategy session.
Mhm.
And I just remember, like I said, a lot of my clients are corporate and they've come from that background where they hit up their little black book sort of thing for their when they're getting their first clients. And you had all of these ideas and your previous business, how successful you'd made that. And I remember thinking, wow, this woman is like a powerhouse. She's like so interesting, like the story, how you went back to university at 30, graduated at 34, built this incredibly successful business, and then like moved to Scotland back and all of that and in between. And when I got your website, we'd done this and I'd given you a guidance of how to write your copy.
Mhm.
Like, I just wanted to share this with people out there if you are creating a website copy and you don't know how to go about doing it. So when we chatted, I talked to you about like what to put on your homepage, the flow of it, what to put on your about page and your services page. But I think, I got the website copy from you and it was like, do you want to tell me what you thought when you'd created your copy?
Well, I'm a good student.
Yeah.
So I looked at your outline, I followed your directions. I gave it a lot of thought, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And I worked it out and I wrote it and I rewrote it and looked at other stuff. Like I put a lot of time and effort into it and was quite pleased with it, actually.
Yeah, right.
I
So
was.
I'm not saying, and this is not me saying that it wasn't
Hmm.
good, but I think that when you are starting a business and you are creating this copy, you're thinking about it a lot of the time, I think, from your perspective, but you're also probably thinking, what will my clients think? Um,
Hmm.
but because I've been doing this for so long, when you are a service-based business, you really want to have a certain way of positioning yourself, I think, firstly, and that's sometimes can be quite awkward for people to position themselves in a certain way. And I felt that you really wanted the emphasis on the client and you didn't talk so much about what you'd done. I think you did a little bit, you put it in there. And I remember when we chatted afterwards, you were saying that you thought you'd been quite um
Out there.
out
Very,
there and like
yeah.
saying what you'd done. But I was saying, well, I think you need to do more. And I think when you are creating your website copy and you have these conversations like we did, it's pinpointing, you had built this really successful business. You'd gone back to university at this age, you'd done this, you'd done that. And telling it in a story where because that's how you're going to help your clients. You want to you're the change catalyst. So you're helping people that want to make these big changes in their life. And because you've been there and you've done that, you really want to explain that in a really storytelling way. And I
Mhm.
think that that hadn't been, I'll do another video just to show a before and after of where we put your copy there. But I think we told that in a bit more of a clearer way, a journey for your clients when they get on there to see she's really been there and she's really done this. And I would just say to anybody that is thinking of doing your website copy to not shy away from your achievements because
Mhm.
those achievements really help your clients to see that you're an expert and that you can help them with the exact same issue that they're struggling with.
But it's
So,
hard. But it's
yeah,
hard.
it is
It's really
hard.
hard. And when you said, right, I just don't think this copy makes it, I was like, well, I thought it was quite good. And then you started making suggestions, and it was really nice to have you to go, do you not think that's a bit much? And you were like, no, I think it's fine. I mean, you're the expert, right? So I did rely on you a lot, and you changed it dramatically and absolutely for the better. There was no
Yeah.
question in my mind about that, but I just didn't have, I don't know, the balls, the ability to do it that way.
And
So,
I think that's the thing as well. When I'm an expert in this,
mhm,
I've worked with lots of service-based businesses, lots of coaches, and when you are starting, you think you know what you're doing, but I've done hundreds of websites now. So I
mhm,
know the flow. I know, at the beginning of before you scroll the homepage, you need to sort of grab the people's attention. And that's either, there are two forms I say of doing this. It's either like say what it does on the tin. So like life coach for women who want to create change in their life, if that's what you do.
mhm,
Or how would it feel to step in a room, feel so confident that you and land your dream client by blah blah blah. So it's either like say what it is you do or give them an emotion so they feel excited to work with you. And then it needs to have like the flow of like then say a little bit more about what you do, maybe what their problems are, what your solution is. You can either come from it from a problem or a solution, or you can do both. And then you position yourself as the expert by saying, this is a little bit about me. So that's like a general flow of a website, which I did say to you as well. And I'm sure you will have written it what you thought would be great. But I think when somebody lands, they want more concrete examples. I think
Mhm.
that's something as well that sometimes I find people not yours wasn't, but sometimes people can be a bit esoteric and just
Mhm.
sort of like circle around the actual facts. And I think
Mhm.
that people like it when there's a fact. There's because you know the change that you can create for somebody. But they need to say, you can help me with a work problem with a colleague, or
Mhm.
you can help me if I'm having a really difficult time with change at home, like maybe empty nest syndrome, or you're looking after aging parents, or you're struggling as a new mum. Like they sometimes want these tangible
Mhm.
problem solving solutions. So I always suggest that as well. Now, how did you get into life coaching? That's what I wanted to ask you.
Well, it was Apple News. I was Apple News. I'm going to be completely blunt.
Yeah.
Might not look great on me, but
No, I
I was
love
looking at
it.
Apple News and it said most lucrative side hustles. And I was like, oh, okay. So I looked it up. It said life coaching, and I thought, okay. So I know my daughter is always looking for extra money. She was, a new intern sort of at the time in the finance industry. So I said, do you want to do this? I said, I think this would be good. She said, yeah, I'd do that. Absolutely. She said, I'm always looking for extra money. So I said, fine, I'll do the research, lay it out for you, and then you can pick it up. So I did the research and I thought, oh, this is quite good actually, because I had no idea what a life coach was. I thought, this is quite interesting. So I presented it to her and she said, what was I thinking? She said, I'm just about to start professional exams. She said, I have no time. I have zero time for this at all. And I said, right. Would you mind if I did it? She went, fill your boots. So I thought, okay, I've got a master's in cognitive behavior psychotherapy because of my work with children and dental anxiety. And I thought, I think this might be a good kind of combo here. So I went to a free webinar and I like, where do I sign? At the end of that webinar, it was like, I'm made for this. I want
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah. Because you led teams as well with what you were doing. And I remember you saying that you did lectures as well to like
Mhm.
large numbers of people about the with using the psychotherapy.
Mhm.
So so you retired when you decided to
Yeah.
retrain to do the coaching? Yeah.
Retired and vowed to never work again.
Okay, right. Okay, I love this. So, because some people, they do this for a passion, it's like a calling. And I think that that can be the case where you're like, I need this to survive. This is my 9 to 5. This is like my income. Whereas with you, this is like, I'm going to make this a success. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, this really is like a calling, and I don't need to be doing this, but it's like a want to help. And what what's been, right, okay, let's go back to the website stuff. So we created your website and your branding. And how did you find that experience? Like
Like
creating
pulling my
videos?
insides out.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I really liked that it was compressed because it was like, okay, we're just going to go through this. If it had been long and drawn out, I think
Our
if
project,
I'm,
by the way, was a 2 week project where
yeah,
we did the web branding and web design.
and I might have lost the will to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot. It's hard. It's very different. And you have a feel for what you want to do, but you're not like 100% sure. And something comes up and you're like, actually, to be honest, it was like, yes, no. I was quite clear on, when I had choices, but it's involved. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. I think I don't know if like with the hard, and I always say this when you are creating a website and a brand, it's not just surface level, I
Yeah.
don't believe. It's
Yes.
very deep when you are doing something like in your business as a coach, where you've got to, it's like birthing what your business is about. It's the
Exactly.
offers. It's like you've got to get real clarity on who you're helping, what you're doing. And I think what I always say to my clients is when we work together, because I'm getting to know you, your brand is solid when we finish working together. And you'll probably notice over the next few years, especially if you're new in your business, that things might change. The messaging will change, the offers might change. But as long as your branding and the tone of voice and the layout of your website is really strong foundations, then it can move with you. Because I know since we've worked together, you've got clearer on what your offer is and you've maybe tweaked some of the things, but you keep on going back to your site, right? And it's still feels good.
I feel like I've changed dramatically since then. I have gotten a lot more clarity about exactly who I want to work with, how I want to work with them, why I want to work with them. And every time, and it's been a few changes along the way. And every time I think, oh shit, now the website's going to have to be changed. So I go back to the website and I look and I think, no, actually, it's fine. It's actually absolutely fine. And I have done some shifts, which is a great thing that you're able to do. I have put something in and I've taken stuff out because I changed my offer system. And it's stood the test of time and the test of change, you
Yes.
know?
So that's what I hope as well when I create a website for a client, but it's more, how do I say it? That, if I believe this is just my personality type. That if I didn't have this to begin with, I'd be procrastinating and I probably wouldn't put myself forward for like clients or positions if I didn't feel like my website felt solid to go to. And even if I
Mhm.
was changing, there would just be I feel like it would stop me from going. But I know some people are totally different. They don't even need a website and they're just like on it. But like for me, it gives me a sense of confidence, I think when I'm going forward. So I think we've spoken about the process, what your background is. I'd love to talk now about the next level. Well, actually, before we finish with this, when you were talking about scheduling tools and processing and invoices and stuff, how much
Mhm.
of that kept you stressed, anxious? Were you anxious or stressed about like how to take payments from clients? What you didn't know, what you didn't know? Aside from the branding and the web design, was there anything that you were struggling with, like with contracts or anything like that? Any advice that you would give to anybody that's starting a new business?
Yeah, I struggle with it all. I didn't have any because it's not part of a dental business's problem, right? I had a front desk and I had a system, obviously, but this was completely different. So I asked you and I saw what you did, and I liked the system that you had. And the Calendly works beautifully for me. The really simple, free works perfectly for me. And then, with the invoicing system, you kind of said, well, we can do this, you can do that. And I was like, okay. And then you said, but I just invoice. And I thought, I'm always with simple. Simple to me always works best. So I just stuck with a very simple invoicing system as well.
And there's not really much else you need to do. I think maybe it's slightly different in America. I know that there may be a lot more with all of their contracts and stuff like that. And I'm sure you've got something in place. But
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
that how did you get your contract together then? Did you hire a lawyer? Did you go on a website?
No, I went through the place the coaching academy that had offered that I worked with to get the diploma and
Yeah.
asked them, and they had somebody. I don't know. It ended up being a lot more expensive and involved than I think I needed, to be honest. But
Yeah.
c'est la vie. It's there, it's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. I think, and that is the thing, sometimes when you are starting a business, you might be thinking, my services are high end. They are, it's
Mhm.
an investment. but I see it as an investment in somebody that's going to help you form your offers, listen to you, get your branding and your website done right on
Hmm.
a platform that's very easy to use, and then gives you help with what your processes should look like, the calendar, the booking system, if you're going to send emails, all of the things that you don't know until you know and somebody's telling you. So I think that's why I am that investment. But then I will also say I would then keep everything really simple. Like I said, I use Calendly. You can use a booking system called Acuity if you want to take payments. I find that with my coaching clients, they don't need to have like a really super duper system at the beginning when you're just starting. You're not going
Hmm.
to have, and the sort of client that I'm working with, they don't want to have hundreds of clients. You might have like five
No.
clients at a time or something.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and you're not inundated every day with like 5, 10 inbound links into your Calendly, into your schedule.
Unfortunately, no, I'm not.
But I don't think you'd want to be that much. I don't
No.
have like a huge inbound leads, but when I do, they're like quality and they want to work with me generally when they come to me. So I think just a simple booking platform like Calendly works really well. I create my invoices in Canva. That might be changing slightly at the moment with us all going digital in the UK with our banking. So that might change how I do that. But um, yeah, I just think keep your processes simple. I use Google Drive to get all my information from my clients. So, but I know there are different systems for coaches. So let's end on how it's been since we've finished working together, what it's been like in your journey to get clients and to get clear on what you're doing from where we left off.
Roller coaster. 100% roller coaster. Not easy. Not nearly as easy as I thought it was going to be. Mostly because I came from the entitled mindset of, I've done this before. I can do this again. No problem. Very different. It's very different
Yeah,
creating an online coaching business than it is to create a dental practice. Now, took me a few months to get that straight, but it's hard. It's still hard. I'm still working on it. It's great. I've had an amazing journey myself. So my self-awareness has changed dramatically. Um, I feel like I'm on to something now. I'm
yeah,
feeling much more positive. I've had really dark days. I actually, at one point, had decided to pitch the whole thing and
yeah,
just pack it in. I was fed up. I was discouraged. And I didn't. And I'm really glad I didn't. But it's not easy.
yeah.
It's not easy.
That's why, because we've spoken since, and I was really excited to have this conversation because it is exciting. If you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, that's not really what I want to hear. This is the reality.
It
And,
is.
but, like a roller coaster, right? You come up and you're scared and you're fearful. And then you really are like your stomach dips. And then you go up and it's just like this high. And it is like that. Like having your own business is like this until it's not. And
Mhm.
then that's like when it clicks, that's just like everything. And there's this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and he talks about the gold miners, and you're just like so far through the cave, through the mine, and then like you're this far away from the gold and you stop. And I think
Mhm.
that the successful entrepreneurs are the ones that just keep on going a little bit more. And I certainly know on my journey, my journey was 5 years, and I feel like you're going to get there a lot sooner than I am. But yeah, it took me 5 years to really nail my business. And I think that that's because there's so much noise, you know,
Mhm.
um, when you're beginning, you don't know where to go. Like, how did you, I think, can you tell a little bit more about your story about how when you got some coaching or some like different things that didn't feel right to you, if you can talk a little bit more about
So
that.
I mean, as I said to you, I had all kinds of ideas. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I went down all those roads. I went to David Lloyd's. I thought that was my market. Perfect. Didn't happen. I was knocking against a locked door there. And I visited this person. I went here. Like I did all kinds of stuff. Nothing was happening. Absolutely nothing was happening. But I thought, right, okay, let's get some help. Right. So I hired a business coach. And she was great, but she wasn't me. I couldn't do what she said. I felt so awkward and I don't know, unauthentic. I don't know, I hate that word, but it just didn't sit right with me at all. So I tried that for a while. That didn't work. And I tried a couple of other things and I was trying this and I thought finally it was actually the end of last year, I thought, I'm done. I am not listening to anybody. I am just going to do it my way. And that way, if it doesn't work, that's absolutely fine. I can blame myself. I'm good with that. But it's been hard. It's been a
Yeah.
real, I don't know, real journey.
But now you have started to do things your way and things
Yes,
that feel good.
yes,
And now things feel good and
yes,
things are happening, right?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Small. It's small. It's not like I'm not, there by any means. But I also am not looking for validation from outside anymore. So I
Yeah.
don't need that validation. I am comfortable within me of what I'm doing, where I'm going, how I'm getting there. And I know it will come. I know it will fall into place.
Yeah.
I'm already living it.
Yeah. And I think that that's such a great one where when you've been very successful or you've had a successful business like you, a successful career, you feel like this new business has to be that, or you're a failure, or you're not doing it
Yes.
right, or at the level that you were. And it's probably not going to happen right away. That's not going to happen. And how you did things one way is not going to work in this new way. And I've created a course called Design a Life You Love, which is all about how to create a business that works around your lifestyle. Because all of us create these businesses because we want to have lives that we love, right? And when I stopped struggling in my business is when I focused and got really clear on who I wanted to work with and what my offer was. And it was just like one thing.
Mhm.
And when I got really clear on how I was going to market that, it was just one marketing strategy. And I think that when you start a business, and it's anybody that's watching this, please, 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 because when I was starting, I heard so many experts say this to me, and you're just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when you're struggling, you hear about 30 different people, and you're like, oh, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that. And you then try and do everything and none of it works. It's only when you focus on the one thing that feels good. And
Mhm.
that's where intuition comes really into play again. And you just think, what are my values? What do I really enjoy doing? And
Mhm.
then that, because honestly, it will work if you enjoy it. And
Mhm.
and maybe you've got one thing client from it in the past, perhaps. Um, so for me, that's always my values are community and connection. So whenever I know I might come out across as quite extroverted, but if I'm in a networking room, I'm quite quiet sometimes, and then I'm like, I have to steel myself and get out there. But when I do, that's like when magic happens. And I know you've done some work about energy work because I'm really big on the law of attraction. And when you raise your vibe and your energy, things come to you. If you walk into a room and there's somebody that's a bit like, "Mm," you're like, I am not talking to that person. And then there's somebody that's like this, you're like, want to talk to them. And I feel like just energetically, when you are feeling high and good, you'll notice that more good things come to you. And when you're feeling really crap and not great, and it's hard when you're struggling, when you are feeling crap,
Mhm.
to get up, but like you're not really going to get any abundance when you're feeling like that. So you have to start doing things to feel good. Like, what's been your journey? Because I know you've actually found somebody else that you were following that you like.
I have, and I think actually this is where some of the pivotal moments have occurred because this woman started talking about lack. living from a place of lack. And I thought, right, because I'm lacking clients, because I need to make this better. And this business isn't working. And, all that. It's like, obviously, that's not going to attract people to you until it's laid out in front of you. You don't get that. You just get so caught up in your mindset of, and absolutely what you said, I had a very successful business. And if this one isn't successful, I feel like it almost takes away from the first one. The
Mm.
first one took me 15 years to build. So,
Right.
yeah. So I'm guessing maybe a year and a half is not a reasonable time
Yeah.
frame to expect big things.
Yeah.
But I did, and I do. And when she started to say, you need to talk about gratitude, you need to think about abundance, this was a whole different way of thinking to me. But it makes perfect sense. If you're going to put it out there that I am already the person that I want to be, I'm being her, and that I am so, and I mean, like deeply, not just superficially grateful for
Yeah.
everything that's been given to me, then yes, of course, I'm going to attract magic. I'm going to magnetize things that are meant for me. Yes, of course. It just, when you actually think it through, it makes complete sense that this whole
Mm.
is not going to be working for you. I mean, you said that in a room when you see somebody like that, but even if in that room there's someone smiling, but they're going, I need a client, I need to get a
Yeah.
client, I need to, you can feel that.
Yeah.
Other people feel that.
Yeah.
And that's really off-putting. It's the desperation, right? It's, ooh,
And
cringy.
and it's a hard one, you should follow people online that talk about energetics so you can understand it because once I really did, that's when everything clicked into place and now, I've had a bit of a quiet time in my business because I was pivoting and focusing on an online course.
Mhm,
But because I've done this work, like I have such a strong belief system that I'm like, well, now I'm focusing back on this because when your focus is diverted in so many different directions, nothing really is going to come to you because you're
mhm,
just sort of saying to the universe, like, sorry to be a bit woo, but you're just sort of saying, yeah, bit of this, bit of this, bit of that. And then like, it's just like, well, what do you want? So I
mhm,
know that when I get focused on what it is that I want and I start pouring everything into that, then things come in. Um, but you really do have to feel it. It can't be superficial, and that's really that can be quite scary when you are struggling. But when you really believe it to be true, things will click in. Have you got any advice to anybody that you'd like to sort of finish our chat off with? About when they're starting or getting a website or anything that you'd like to share.
I feel strongly that you will undermine yourself before anything else does. So it's really how you think that you have to pay really close attention to, as well as your marketing, your website, your offer, as well as all the million other things that you have to deal with. But you have to keep a really close eye on what you're thinking and how you're feeling, because I feel like that is what undermines every business or could undermine potentially any or every business. And it's hard. It's probably the hardest bit.
So to watch what you're thinking and then just to always have some sort of talisman that when it's hard, you just say, if I just keep on going in this way that feels, this marketing way that feels really good, I
Mhm,
know the offer works, I know that this is good, like everything, I know I can do hard things. And I think
mhm,
that's something in the past when I've been struggling. I
mhm,
think of maybe two or three occasions when I've done something or I really wanted something badly and I made it happen because I was so resolved and excited about it and there was like nothing was getting in my way. So
mhm.
yeah, I think that's a really good one to watch what you say. So Thank you so much for coming on today. I had no idea how long this would be. This is my first one of the series. So thank you so much, Joyce. I hope you've got something out of this today. If you are thinking of starting your business, I hope we've not scared you too much to say that it can be this roller coaster, but that's just real life. And I'm telling you, for somebody that's had their business now for 8 years, 5 years I was up and down. Like I was still loving it. I always loved it, but it was like the income roller coaster for me was just a bit up and down. I don't have a partner, so that was a bit scary. But my gosh, like my life, I just love my life so much. And I work with the clients that I love working with, Joyce being one of them. And I get to do what I love every day. And I've worked on my mindset. And now just like I always feel abundant. I always have clients coming in and it's just the best thing ever. So don't be disheartened, but do know you've got to do some of the work. And it's not just marketing work; it's also um, watching that inner voice. So, good luck. And if you need a website, come find me. Links below. And I'll see you soon in another video. Bye.
Thank you very much, Liz.